Good evening, South Sudan, and welcome to SSBC News live from Juba capital city, bringing for you all your latest national news from across the country. My name is Joe Mareng, and thank you for joining us. Tonight on our national news, the first Vice President, Taban Dengai, reaffirmed the government's commitment to ensure the release of the two Indian nationals apprehended at Adar oil field in Upper Nile region over a week ago. The first Vice President made the assurance during a meeting with the Indian Ambassador Srikumar Menon in Juba on Friday. In a statement to SSBC, Ambassador Srikumar Menon appealed to the first Vice President to intervene in releasing the Indian oil workers.
A brief meeting with the Honorable Vice President, first Vice President. It was an honor to meet him, and I was glad to feel the vast depth of goodwill that he has for India, and he spoke very nicely about all the bilateral relations that we have with each other. We exchanged views on mutual issues of concern and discussed ways and means to upgrade our interactions. I highlighted the enormous contribution that India has been making towards nation building activities of South Sudan, and reiterated India's commitment to support South Sudan in its development goals. I also used the opportunity to seek his personal intervention to resolve the issue about the innocent Indian nationals who have been held captive for the past 9 days by opposition forces in the Upper Nile area. I conveyed our grave concern and apprehension about the continued detention of our two citizens who are essentially non-combatant civilians and were present in South Sudan purely for the purpose of employment. This was agreed to and specifically noted by Honorable Vice President. And I also conveyed to him the deep anxiety and worry being faced by the families and relatives of the two young innocent Indian nationals about their boys' welfare and well-being. I was also assured by the Honorable First Vice President that his government was doing everything possible to find an early resolution of this matter. And I thank the government of South Sudan for all the efforts that have been made so far and keeping the embassy informed about the efforts that are being made in this regard. Thank you.
Meanwhile, on a news conference, India has appealed for the release of its two nationals who were apprehended in Adar in Upper Nile region over a week ago. In a statement to SSBC, the Indian Ambassador Srikumar Menon said the two oil workers, Ambrose Edward and Minhut Ganesh, should be released unconditionally and forthwith as a humanitarian gesture and in the interest of the friendly and brotherly relations between peoples of India and South Sudan. Earlier this week, the government of South Sudan condemned what it described as kidnapping of the Indian nationals by anti-peace elements in the oil fields and called for their immediate release.
South Sudan. They had no part whatsoever in the internal conflict of South Sudan. The families and relatives of the two innocent Indian nationals are extremely anxious and worried about their boys' welfare and safety. India has traditionally warm and long-standing friendly ties with the people of South Sudan, which date back to the pre-independence period. South Sudan's independence less than 6 years ago was a historic event that came after a long period of struggle and immense sacrifices of the people of South Sudan. India values its relationship with the friendly people of South Sudan. The people and the government of India have utmost goodwill towards the people of South Sudan, and we want enduring peace to return to South Sudan. The depth of India-South Sudan relations and the enormous contribution that India has been making towards nation-building activities in South Sudan is very well known. It is in this spirit that this appeal is being made, and I call upon those who have detained the two innocent Indian nationals to release them unconditionally forthwith as a humanitarian gesture and in the interest of the friendly and brotherly relations between the peoples of India and South Sudan. Thank you.
The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Makur Matur Koryom, and the Egyptian doctor